All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, respect, and blessings to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rachakwadash. Salutations of the Lord's elect on the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth and sincerity while patiently waiting for Yahweh Shai's return. And double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone, which have taught us everything we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And I just wanted to show you brothers this article right here. Just showing you who the real savages are. Here it is. You're sending help and aid to a country. But that same help and aid, excuse me, I just woke up. That same help and aid is going to be used against the same country who sent that help and aid. Some of the weapons delivered to Ukraine will be used against the United States. Now, let me remind you that the United States have delivered weapons to Ukraine. I mean, I'm laughing because, for a long time, right, the so-called natives of this land were called Indians, right? Well, when you look up the word Indian, it literally means savage. But who's the real savages here? Here it is. You so-called white Americans, which are really the biblical Edomites, are sending help and aid to the Ukrainians, which are also biblical Edomites. And your own kinsmen are using your own aid and help against you. That's a real savage moment right there. But I'm going to go ahead and read this. The United States and its proxies in Europe are moving an enormous amount of weapons into Ukraine. But no one has an idea where those weapons will end up. Okay, let's continue reading. It is likely that many of those will proliferate outside the Ukraine, and some of those weapons will inevitably hit those who deliver them. In a review of the United States war on Syria, Arion Mate details how the Obama-Biden team empowered terrorist networks in Syria. Based on declassified documents, this is declassified. It says, news reports and scattered admissions of United States officials, this overlooked history of how the Obama team's effort to oust the Assad regime in concert with allies including the Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey details the series of discrete decisions that ultimately led the United States to empower terror networks bent on its destruction. Well, now how be it. The United States pushed an enormous amount of weapons into Syria. Those weapons did not end up with the moderate rebels. The United States propaganda had elevated, of course, anybody who know anything about the United States propaganda would know that, the United States hired agent provocateurs in Syria to release chemical weapons on the people only so they could put the blame on Assad. Okay. So yeah, I don't want to get too much into detail, but yeah, the CIA which is controlled by the United States government, is responsible for agent provocateurs being hired in Syria to release chemical weapons on the people just so the United States can create propaganda making Assad out to look like the bad guy. And that's why, for a moment, people thought that Assad was really using chemical weapons on his people. But in actuality, it was really just the United States behind the whole thing. The United States was behind the whole chemical weapons thing. You see? The United States is behind the whole chemical weapons thing. Assad had nothing to do with those chemical weapons. But you see, that's what they mean by the United States propaganda over Assad and Syria. Because that's exactly what the United States will do. They'll literally hire agent provocateurs to create a problem or start a civil war in a country, right? And then the United States will create propaganda through their news media to make the leader of that country look like the bad guy. So the United States propaganda had indeed elevated concerning Syria, but in the hands of the most ideological, committed, and most brutal actors on the ground. Although the Obama administration claimed that the weapons funneled to Syria were intended for moderate rebels, they ultimately ended up in the hands of jihadi dominated insurgency. Just 1 month after the Benghazi attack, the New York Times reported that hardline Islamic jihadists, including groups with ties of affiliations with Al Qaeda, have received the lion's share of the arms shipped to the Syrian opposition. So, I mean, I don't need to read all of this, man. You know, like, you pretty much get the idea. You know, whenever the United States sends weapons somewhere, some way, somehow, they always end up being used against them. And it's spiritual that the title of this news article says this, because when you go to the book of Obadiah 1:7, right, it says, all the men of thy confederacy. Who's a confederacy with the United States? Ukraine, right? Ukraine is one of them. Now, when it says the men of thy confederacy, that's talking about these different countries that are going to turn on the United States of America. Because America have several allies right now, right? They have Ukraine as allies. They have China as allies. I don't know about North Korea, but I know South Korea is an ally of the United States. The European Union, NATO, the red dragon with the 7 heads and 10 horns, they're an ally of the United States. Okay. Right now, all these different allies of the United States, they're allies with the United States right now, correct? But inevitably, they're going to turn on America. They're going to turn on America and make this place desolate. So it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. Well, check that out. All the men that were at peace with the United States have turned against the United States. So, hey, America, keep on funding these different countries, because eventually they're going to turn on you. Why? I mean, come on. Just look at the high school days. Look at the elementary school days. Whenever there was a bully, right? Eventually, the children got tired of the bully and they all came together and started working together in order to overcome that bully. And when that bully got his ass beat by all those children, he did not want to mess with him anymore. He ran off. So, hey, America, keep on being the bully of the world, man. Because these countries, they're not going to take your shit for much longer. And they that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in them. Shall I not in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and understanding out of the mount of Esau? Yeah, the wise men are literally being destroyed out of Edom. You know, a wise person would not just give his arms to just any old person. But with that, I'm going to say Shalom is on to the next one.